Hey, good morning, everybody. Matt Aponte here. I wanted to send a quick video out with a couple tips on overthinking and essentially how to quieten your brain so that way it can allow you to take action. You know, we're in the beginning of the year, and it's really exciting to be in a new year. However, 2021 has caused a lot of anxiety and stress on most everybody. And so what that does sometimes that causes, there's a lot of fringe effects that happen that affect our lives. And one of those is overthinking and our brains just racing, especially with the political unrest that we're still experiencing now here in the beginning of the year. And so there are a lot of, maybe a lot of you are experiencing just a racing brain, or maybe it has nothing to do with that, but you do have a tendency to overthink. And so what I want to do is I want to share a couple little things with you, some of the problems with overthinking and how they can really adversely impact your health. And then most importantly, I'm going to share with you a couple quick tips on how you can quieten your brain, take action, and in many instances, just, eliminate overthinking. So one of the first things that you want to acknowledge is that overthinking can really just create problems that are not there, because what happens is that we end up creating or living in scenarios that haven't even happened yet. And we've all been there, right? Something has happened, or we don't think it's happened, or maybe it has happened, or we're sure that it has happened, but what if this happens? We're like, well, what if she says this, or what if he says that, or what if, maybe it's a work situation, maybe it's a relationship situation, maybe it's for friends or family, whatever it is. Everybody loves to just come up with these scenarios of these possibilities. I know that I have done it many, many times. And so one of the things that you want to recognize when you're in that state is that one of the bad things it does is it removes you from the present. It doesn't allow you to actually be in the present moment and live your life in that present moment, because what you're doing is you're dwelling on things that happened in the past that you no longer have any control over, or you're living in a future that doesn't even exist yet. You're running through scenarios that in your mind could happen or might happen in the future, and we're not in the future. We don't know what's going to happen yet. And so essentially what all that is just wasted and negative energy. And it really just pulls you from being able to live in your present moment. So that's one of the really bad things that can happen. And, it also disturbs sleep. And which contributes to also a decline in mental and emotional health. So how many of you have laid there in bed and you've had a hard time getting to sleep because your mind is just racing and it's just going crazy? I know I have been there as well. And so, the first thing to do, so how can you stop overthinking in its tracks and really take back control of your brain? So the first thing that you really must do is be aware when it is happening. You want to acknowledge the fact and say, whoa, hey, I'm overthinking right now. And then be aware of it. Once you're aware of the problem and you acknowledge that I'm becoming a worrywart, I'm worrying about different scenarios, all these things that I literally have no facts or no evidence that it is really happening, or I'm projecting my anxiety into the future, into a future that does not exist yet. First, become aware of that. That's the most important thing. And once you've become aware of it, then you can start to do a couple things to kind of quieten your brain. And one of the things you can do is to put things in a larger perspective. So what that means is essentially like, well, okay, I'm feeling anxiety about this now, but will this even matter tomorrow, right? And in some cases, will this even matter a few hours from now? And then if that doesn't help broaden your perspective, enlarge your perspective more. Well, will this even matter in a few weeks? Will this even matter in a few years? Is this really something to be investing all of this energy and anxiety about? And ask yourself those questions. Have that conversation with yourself in your head. And a lot of times when you really start to kind of be like, well, you know what? Actually, this doesn't even freaking matter, right? It's not even going to matter tomorrow. And if you're overthinking about a situation that won't even matter tomorrow, well, then, you know what? Then you shouldn't be thinking about it or overthinking about it today and now. So that's one thing, putting things in a larger perspective. Another thing that you can do is to find a distraction. And preferably it's a good positive distraction. Maybe it's going and playing a sport, or if it's the weather's not good outside, playing some kind of game indoors that you like. And it could even be a video game or something to take your mind off of that and put that energy into a more healthy direction for yourself. This is a very simple thing to do, is really just distracting your brain and finding something else to take up your thought space. So that's another thing that you can do that's really powerful. Another thing is to minimize your inputs. And, when I say that, I'm talking about news and social media because, we are so bombarded with so many things on a daily basis, so much different media. I forget the number right off the top of my head. I can't remember it, but we are just bombarded with so many advertisements. And that is every single day. And that's just advertisements, audible and visual. And that's even 10x with, when it comes to social media, right? We are essentially absorbing media and input from everybody else's world, right? And so this could serve as a distraction if you are overthinking. Maybe scrolling, if you have a good, positive, healthy timeline or a feed, you could do that. However, what you have to understand is that everything that our brain absorbs, we have to process. Our brain has to process in a certain manner. And that's usually what happens at night. And so when you have just completely inundated, or if you're continually inundating your brain with all of the news that you can just absorb, or all of the social media that you just can absorb, well, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're actually making your anxiety, your stress, your mental health, you're making it worse for yourself. And these are compounding effects that will grow over time, unfortunately, when it comes to a mental perspective. So one of the biggest things to do is to really just minimize the inputs that you have on a daily basis. And you are in control. You're in total control of what you allow coming into your brain. So, this means social media. How much time are you allowing social media to impact your life? This means television news, radio news, social media news. How much of that news are you allowing to come into your life? Because you're allowing it. And so that's one thing that you have to understand, is that all of the inputs and all of the stuff that is causing anxiety, you have allowed to come into your life. So taking back control of that and saying, you know what, I'm not gonna allow that, or I'm gonna minimize that, is a really big way to help reduce and eliminate overthinking and anxiety and stress. And another one is to become more of a realist and let go of imperfection. I know that this was one thing I struggled with because I am a perfectionist. Was a perfectionist. I still like to do things in a high quality way, but I've really let go of being perfect, and really just taking a lot of imperfect action is what I'm focusing on a lot this year. And being very or everything having to be very perfect can be really debilitating. I know in my experience, having that very high level of perfection actually debilitated and in some instances paralyzed me from taking steps or doing things that, had I just taken imperfect action, probably would have turned out really well. So in my, I'm going to keep this video short and under 10 minutes. So if you're interested, or if you like this, I hope that I was able to share with you some things. My new book is coming out, which I'm really excited. The Art of Kicking Ass and Taking Names, the ultimate guide to mastering your day and without burning out. The ultimate guide to mastering your day without burning out. I'm still trying to remember. It's all still a little surreal to me that I actually have a book that is coming out. So I'm really excited about that. If you would like to get on an early release for the book, then you can go to newbook.themattaponte.com, and you can just put in your name and email there, and you'll get notified as soon as it's ready, and you'll be on the early list. So that's newbook.themattaponte.com. And I talk a lot more about a lot of this stuff in the book, how to clear your mind of clutter, how to stay focused, and how to regain control of your mental capacity, so that way you can drastically increase your productivity and kick some major ass in your day. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Take care, and I'll see you around social.